people, we working on these legs here, right? I think it's called the opium leg or something like that, actually, right? It's these legs, you know, right? It's for a bed, one of those low beds, right? It's an Asian looking bed in terms of design, it's Asian, but it's basically the same idea of cutting the cabriolet leg, because if you move into furniture, you will know that this here, on top here, is the same of the cabriolet leg, and down here is what you change, right? Because it's the same top piece for who know, right? And it's a nice, you know, it makes a nice, they make nice, you know, nice, it's a nice pattern in terms of when even when they make them into center tables and stuff, you know, you see that they're nice, you know, something that is nice, it's good, right? If you get a view from it inside here, right? So what we're doing here now is we already spoke shape these here, you know, and yes, you cut this with a bandsaw, right? And when you cut it with a bandsaw, you'll have to clean it up, right? You clean it up with the spoke shave, you know, like on the inside parts you would use the spoke shave, right? You know, and yes, this is mahogany from the Caribbean, so you know it's hardy, it's a harder lumber, right? Up at the top here, which will be up here, right? You put it in the vise, and if you had a flat bottom, I mean a round bottom spoke shave, because I only have the flat bottom, what you could do is you get inside it. But if you didn't have that, what you would do is you could have a belt sander, right? A belt sander, and you could just then if you look, you'll see the end of the belt sander, you want to take it out from in the state where it is there, and then what you would use, you have this part here, because this is using the vise, right? I mean the a hand tool, it's a spoke shape, and I think lots of people should learn to use their hands. You know, it is a good thing to learn to use your hands, right? Because this bed sells in Trinidad, right, for a lot of money, right? And I mean, from where it originated, right, or who's been using this pattern in terms of where I saw it, right? Because I've only seen this bed once in a store in Trinidad, but I know the idea of doing it, right? This is a very expensive bed in terms of, if that's what it sells and then it comes in a store because it's hand done, right? And if that is how it comes in the stores, and it's that because it's thousands of dollars for one a bed like this, done by hand. But if you know how to do these things here, you can cut this bed, legs, and everything and do it in a day. I mean, I'm telling you, think about the time what you're taking to do it here. So now you know that it can be done. You know, once you know how to sharpen your tools, right? And you know, a lot of people you want to see, and I'm telling people, lots of people, to join the idea of using your hands in terms of woodwork. This is something that we must do. It's a tree. It's natural. The idea that some people have that you're not supposed to use your hands is to take away the idea of your natural existence as an existence, as a life force, or whatever you want to call yourself without words. Because you know, like the birds, you would have I would think that you would want to have the ability to create your own home. Because from the natural laws of nature, which is what all men built and took from, you would see that birds themselves, what they do is, when they would have children or their offspring, what they do, they come together and they build a nest. You know, like in Trinidad here, you know, we even have like the corn birds. What is considered the corn birds? They have that dome style nest and there's no manual for that. Right? You understand? So we have to come out from the ideas that was given to us, and I think that is an idea, and I know it was an idea given by builders. Right? It's an idea given by builders, creators. You know that somebody always have to do for you. And it's across the board. Think about this. Think about us 20 years as in having local lumber, having a bunch of people who is not doing anything. Right? As I hear in the news, we export the lumber and bring cheap furniture. I don't know. I don't know how that works, you know. But I think it's going to work against us. Because we are slowly losing the idea of using your hands. Because we don't make computers. So when the manual is passed to us, is until the next manual comes to us. You know? Lots of things we don't make. And we might be on the top of using it here, but the manual was passed to us. This is a natural function. A tree. Yes? And everybody needs a bed. You know, you're going to need a bed. And I'm not going to be here to make it for you, because think about it, if I'm the only person who is showing you today how to cut the legs and build a leg for a bed that will cost you about 16, 17 or how much $1,000 in Trinidad, right? Think about if I'm building it, I'm showing that I can build it stronger, and I'm building it. How much do you think it's going to cost? So what I choose to do is, you know, I will leave information that people can use their hands. Because think about 20 years from now having all this lumber. Woo! And we have a bunch of people that does not know. So we are importing our furniture. We are building out, we are taking ideas from other people to create our own homes, right? And we are not expanding our minds, you know, because I think that there are a lot of people in society. Because, you know, I have to talk about things, I can't always come and talk about furniture. It's just a different way to look at things, you know. We have a lot of people in society today, right now, right? To me, sometimes it's just not thinking for nothing. You know, you're always being told, given the manual, even your thoughts. And that is not something that is very good for us to do, because you see, at the end of the day, it's going to hamper us down the line. Do you understand? Because most of us jobs are made up. And I'm going to tell you why. When I say made up, the natural laws of things doesn't see over some of the jobs that we have. That's the reality of it. Even mine. Because we have people, you know, in existence and surviving. Other parts of the world, they're having children. And you know, they're reproducing. The mosquitoes not eating them. They know what is agreeable to them and what is not agreeable to them, and they're living. Right? So we know that this civilization, what you know, what is considered what we use here with the idea of square and flat things. I keep telling people, you cannot find the idea of a square nowhere in civilization or flat board, what is considered, unless it came out of the idea of a man. Most square things come out of the idea of a man. So, right, for all who know, and the squares, you know, that forms and the intersections, because without that we can't function. Flight of stairs and doors. What you put in is neither here nor there. Because Bernard Travis was writing a long time to now. It's the same idea for square. If you take away the idea of a square and flat surfaces, you're back into what is called the open form. And people is living like that. So for somebody to tell me anything different to contradict me, contradict my thinking, which is just a thought process, I would like you to explain it to me. You understand? Because what were we writing on? When you speak about stone, but where? Not when they created flat surfaces, but like the earthen people of the earth, tribes, the sand people and all these people who they have names for. They are reproducing. You understand? So the idea of using your hands, right, is good, and I think it's something that we should promote more in Trinidad and Tobago, because trust me, what I'm doing here, if you look on the internet, you're going to see hundreds of people, all kinds of people, because it's called mind hand. Most people have an idea of things and might be able to draw it, but they can't create it. You understand? So you're always stuck somewhere. But the idea to think of it, because I've never seen this close by. It's just an idea, and I know I can do it. Right? And lots of people should adopt this idea, and we should feed this to the youths. In Trinidad, here, I think we should feed this to the youths in an early stage. And what I want to tell people is, you know, There have been people telling you things that you should just listen to them and think. It is easier to build up strong children than to repair broken men. That is a speech by Frederick Douglass, right? So the idea for some people who can't think, right? I don't want to say it, so please don't get vexed with me, because most people, you know, you neither hear nor hear what I'm saying here. You can believe it, you could not. But the idea is that if you have young people coming up and children coming up, and you have an A class and a B class system, you have to have something that the man in the B class feels nice and proud about himself to do something, not a low-end job, because nobody wants to fry chicken at 3 passes. That's the reality, whether we want to talk about it. But funny here, think about it. As I always tell, for the job that you're doing, can you go up on the internet and explain it? Can you recreate something in it? Do you understand what I'm saying? We have to give back the idea to the hands, the people who can create things, because that's what changed civilization. We're not going to always wait till somebody give us an idea for a door and then we're going to build it. We're not going to wait until somebody give us an idea of that. We are stuck because we do not want to expand. You can think. It's just a thought process. Your brain will explode. Think about it. You know, you can come up with different ways. And this is the problem what we have in our societies. We have a bunch of people who are in positions, I would think, in all parts, that while they are there, they're thinking and creating new ideas in a daily process. Right? It's something that other people's lives depend on, their own survival, and for Lord, for nothing. These people just can't think. They can't, you know, they're always waiting for somebody else to think and tell you what to do. But what we have to do is be able to create a thought. It's just a thought process. You don't hurt if it's wrong. We go with another one, but we have another thought to build on. But the idea is we keep just building on thoughts across the board. So I'm telling you, the first thought you should think about is, as an island, is everybody learn to use their hands. And as I said, started from young. Started from these young fellas. Because you see, if you started from these fellas from young, what is going to happen? When they see these things, it's going to create another thought. And then you know that this bed is about $15,000 and I can do it. And I have to tell people as it is, that's how much it's sell for. And this bed is elementary. And it's not elementary because I've been learning this for 15 years. And it's because of ideas of people. Do you understand? Other people's ideas that I've been having, you know, I came in contact, but I know proportion. The only reason why people are not building it, and because you didn't come into contact with this, and somewhere along the line, most of us here deem that it's not important, but we are not thinking. You see, because when you look at other people on the world stage who are producing the material, the machinery for us to use, they have long pages showing people how to use your hand. Because from the time you lost that natural function, you come, like what I like to consider, you know, broilers. You know, you come to a trough and you get food, but you don't have the idea of the natural fowl to go in the yard and look for it. And we have a lot of people that get into that and think, well, yes, or he is a carpenter. That I use the computer, and I want people to understand what I'm saying without getting vexed. I use the computer, but you cannot build a computer. So you're always going to be third. I am not a third world joiner. I can tell the rest of the world that. I can create what you can create, but we have to be using the same tools. If you put me in the same tools, then I can create what you can create too. But there are very few people who is willing to come up here and show live that they can, you know, use this. You see this here? This is called a spoke shave, right? It is an idea that a lot of people have, and we are, you know. So I don't know. You know. Sometimes I understand. What about all these fellas who get in bad? I wanted you to think with me. Please think with me, please think. It can be a crazy thought, but most of them, their grandfather built these old houses, and they come down the line, they're not builders. You see all the people, all the funding we export, we can have a lot of people building it. I think that we can, because I'm looking at the world stage, I'm the only person in the Caribbean. What happened? So all these people who have these big shops, so you're not going to leave no idea for the people who's coming? You would rather we import furniture. Think about it. I ask people, just by looking at me, I ask stores in Trinidad, you want to take my stuff? They look at me and before all kinds of craziness. But you are not bringing nothing that is going to last. You understand? And this is something that we have to deal with. You know, we have to deal with it. We have to get lots of these youths involved in this woodwork and art form. You know, anything. And create and let them learn, because think about me, if I wasn't creating furniture with the ability that I have to recreate things quickly, and somebody's feeding me the other ideas of what is deemed crime and how I can get away, and I start to process it. So think about people with my ability to rethink things, because I tell you, You see, once a man gives you a manual and you have all the questions and answers there, and that's what you base in your argument, most of you can't, most of people, they can't think, you know, and, you know. But in this here, if I have an idea, it's in a thought process, and I have to bring it forward. You know, most people have the idea very cold, nice, down in a thought process. But to actually bring it forward, you know, people speak about things that sometimes don't even exist. For some of the words that there is nothing in this physical to come to terms with that. And we, you know, we are constantly using the idea of thinking for ourselves and using our hands because it looks cool that you can't pound a hammer. That is your natural function, boy. Nobody's going to come here and build you. We might be able to build a bed like this. But nobody else come and you made those children and you have to build your house. And it's across the board. That's just ideas given to you by people like me. When I say like me, I mean people like me, a builder in thought. Because I can recreate this, I can recreate another idea. And that's how it happened there. And that is how it is another way to look at it. It doesn't have to be. But it beats back the idea that we were writing on the ground and dirt and you know what. But if you didn't have the idea of a square, where everything would be, you have people in the world existing just so. Right now. And it was only an idea given to us in language that some of them are suffering and the imagery. But if you look at other parts, you will see other people falling to see what they eat and what they don't eat, but that is disagreeable, that is, you know, to help themselves. You know? So, you know, we have to rethink this whole idea of this furniture, you know, and let us form a little society that we could go towards the world. I mean, listen, people sitting down in the chairs and they're falling out, so. And the people who've been building what is considered the oldest furniture, people in it, type it and you will see they didn't leave a manual. It's the man who had the idea to recreate it, and however you recreate it, some of these things are neither here nor there. Dovetails and things is good. But if you take it from that point of view, some people will be afraid to do it. You know, I have worked on furniture right here in Trinidad. And they're over 100 years and they have no dovetail. They're just a half out. You understand what I'm saying? And a lot of furniture, I harvest the thought of lots of furniture. I harvest the thoughts of lots of builders. And if you want to know what I mean, I took down the furniture and put it back together. I felt it, I see how the proportion. That's what I mean. You know? So I think that more people have to get involved in this furniture. Pass it on to the youths, pass it on in them, when them fellas and them, you know, gets on bad, because there's a point in time in their life when they're not getting on bad and you send them to school to tell them to absorb, and what they're absorbing, sometimes it's not going to help them because they're going to get 3 passes and then they're going to fry chicken and nobody's going to want it. That is the reality. But if you give them the idea of making handmade things, leather bags, look at the world, look, especially in woodwork, all these tablets. You see people making phone covers and all these kind of, these things elementary. A man can do this at his home, in a little corner. Look what I've been working in. And I can produce anything. And I'm telling the other fellas in the world who is doing woodwork, we like what you're doing because it's an art form, but you don't control it. That's the reality. Because I can go crazy with these designs and then tell you to create it. So then you will have to create what, and you cannot. Because if I made a mistake and the design is based on a mistake, how are you getting it to? Plus it's in the eyes of the person who is, the people who are there. You understand? Because you look at other people, this furniture here is Asian, you know, it's Indonesian, you know, that's where, and their carvings are based on there. It's not based on somewhere else. So if we have all these trees here, right? I want sometimes to listen to builders, because you remember, at the end of the day, these builders are the only people who are going to document some of us here. Because think about it, if you get everything from somebody else, tables, chairs, buildings, everything, and you have a bunch of people who's existing at this time. And none of us are really willing to think because it looks good. I don't feel less of a person to nobody. I'm telling you that. There's a reason why the one learned carpentry when he was one who walked the earth. Because there's reasons for that. That's why they documented that. That is a very important trade. It's to keep your mind, you understand, it's your mind and hands. It's one of the first trade. You understand, they have clay and all that thing, but think about it. I want you to think about it deep. You know, as educated as you might be, and we are, and we think we are, if somebody don't give you the idea of how to cut a square, do you think that you can just stay just so and think about it? If you say yes, well, then you'll be able to think of a new word with a meaning right now. That's to control a function of people. You understand? The point what I'm saying is that somebody always have to teach you these things. And that's how it is, and we are not teaching these things to the youths. And we are thinking that one morning they're going to get up, they're going to just get up, And they're going to just move forward in a system that was created. Most of you learn. It's not the natural laws of things that have you there because you can't do what I'm doing. And I'm on the world stage. You understand? Some jobs consist of 9 numbers and you can't recreate an idea within that. You understand what I say? Some people have a problem before them and they have to go and look for people outside because they can't recreate an idea. And if it's wrong, so what? I could be talking a bunch of stupidity because think about it, some people say I'm mad. But it's just another way to look at things. And I'm still showing you something that you would think you can do. That lots of you can do. You understand what I say? I'm going to break this down so slow for people. All the people who want to learn to make a bed. I'm going to make a bed with a tenon saw, a chisel. If you have a bed sander, it's good. Because I'm going to show you that you need to do those things. Because most of you will not be able to afford these things. And you have offspring coming up. And if you promote it in a nice way and we have shows and we have things, we have people to think for that. We have people that, you know, because they say we're dealing with the society. You understand what I'm saying? We have people that are dealing with the society and the betterment of it. And they, you know, they're supposed, it's easy. Have all these fellas build furniture. Build furniture. Give them the idea so that they can build it up by them, like me, in a small space, and somebody's willing to buy it. Give them a standard. We need a standard set for furniture because the furniture that we're doing, you fellas, you didn't have as a thought like me. I have 20 years in furniture, taking it down, putting it back up. The ideas of building this before some of you came here. So I know. I'm not asking you, I know, I can tell you. You understand? It is an idea. It's just ideas. Once I can create something that is functional and that you can sit on, it's good. So all of you need to think about this. These words, boy, something about these words, boy. These words sometimes create such a great thought. You hear people sit down and discuss something, right? And they come up with some words and I'm like, wow, that's not you speaking there. This situation is simple. Look at it and think. Ha! Think. Because I can show you what I'm speaking about. There's a man from another part of the world, he doesn't understand English, he would never, but he might not be on YouTube, and he's going to see me, and he's going to see me do this, and he's going to take it, and he's going to be able to do it. You remember lots of the profession that we do. This is a builder is speaking to you here. It was made up when the idea for square civilization came, because there was no tables until builders built it. You have to think. There was no tables. There was no what is considered the modern civilization without the idea of a square and the idea of an intersection. How did people get 2 and 4? A flight of stairs. In the oldest civilization, you are seeing that. You are seeing statues of people with clothes and somebody giving you all kinds of mythology about it. But it's to think, how did they make the clothes? It's there. You know, I mean, we are at crunch time now. We are at a time when, you know, where we are living here, we are going to get old in this society. I want you to remember this. And not all of us is going to be able to migrate. And we're going to be even scarier than the older people that are here today. So what we need to do is come up with new ideas. Ideas that help people across the board. Ideas that help people across the board. Because we can't go back in the jungle and live. And we all have to function here. And for nothing. I can't understand, some people just don't want to think. Think! The young ones are born and then the old ones die. Think something that is going to help the young ones. Give them something. Some form of idea. The ideas that are given, it is not making no sense. They're going to school for 16 years and they come out and they can't do anything. But you have history in Trinidad that was taught from you from a little boy. So you can put on a lock when you come out of school. You can build a shelf. You understand? You have an idea where you want to go. Most children who have an idea, let's say doctors, lawyers, etc. From before they went to school, what do you want to be? But nobody wants to be a carpenter. I'm the only one in the Caribbean up here knows what I'm doing with carpentry. And people making millions from it. They're building the same thing, they're getting good at building the same thing over and over. I have no problem with that. But what about the other man who wants to know about it? If it wasn't for my uncle, Harold Carlisle Halls, who had an idea that a man should use his hands, deceased now, I have to do a video based on him, on his thinking, because that's why I'm here. This is the idea of somebody else, because they see my natural ability to use my hands, and he put it forward. When I was going to school, there was nothing. Nothing that was teaching you. You make the way how you teach would work. Sometimes it retards the man's brain for him to think.